Victoria 3's DLC is here, guys. The game is saved. Check out these cool new achievements and this cool new agitator mechanic. French journal entries. Wow, guys, I love Victoria 3. This is my new favorite game, and to celebrate that, I'm going to do my favorite activity ever in Victoria 3. Speedrunning. I've chosen the Amish Paradise achievement, which I achieved in 1846 in about 42 minutes. I already uploaded the VOD, which you can find in the description, but I'm going to elucidate the techniques behind achieving this run, and show you how to get this achievement too. Victoria 3's interesting, thought-provoking gameplay demands focus and precision in your decision making. That is doubly so for a challenging achievement like Amish Paradise. To start us off, put a declared interest in the Pacific coast and wait about a week. Then make a play to puppet Mexico and add in conquest of California. The plan is to use our immense military tactics and power to crush the Mexicans and gain California for ourselves, so we can use it as a staging ground for the upcoming Amish Paradise. While you're working on that, throw the industrialists into government and get to laissez-faire. The reason for this is that moving from laissez-faire to industry ban is really easy since you don't need a Luddite for it. The rural folk by default prefer industry ban to laissez-faire. With the war with Mexico, the usual strat, which has worked since the game came out, continues to win here. You can just naval invade Veracruz and Rio Grande, immediately circumventing the entire Mexican army. If you're a Giga Chad like me, you'll be on the voting phase of laissez-faire by this point, but that's only reserved for the most blessed of RNG enjoyers. This run, if you're going for a speedrun, is almost entirely luck-based. There's not much else you even need to be thinking about doing, but just to entertain myself, I grabbed Texas and the Indian Territory. I even invaded Vietnam because I'm playing America, so I may as well go for a historical run. What you actually need to do is build a railway and 3 or 4 farms in California. The reason for this is that we want the rural folk to have all the power in California, and we want infrastructure there so we can access the American market. If there are only farms in California, the rural folk will have a huge clout percentage. Frederick Douglass appeared in my nation, so I decided to ban slavery, despite the potential for civil war. There's no need to do this, but in a way it could be helpful since no slaves means California will have a higher standard of living. Again, for a speedrun strategy, getting Frederick Douglass as soon as possible is optimal but not needed. My boy Freddy became president before slavery was banned, by the way, so that's pretty based. He's pretty good as a president too, but it does make me laugh seeing a black president before the Emancipation Act. Anyway, I banned slavery in 1841, and now it's time to play as California. Release them as a subject and play as them. You'll have like 60% rural folk clout, and you can ban industry immediately. It shouldn't take long. Now, the strategy as California, if you're speedy, is to employ everyone in farms and livestock ranches and hope that everyone being employed is enough to get to 20 standard living. Otherwise, the slow strategy is to wait for gold to spawn. If gold appears, you'll immediately get to 20 standard living without much delay. I built a textile mill because I was thinking about what jobs are good to have, and shopkeepers can spawn if you make luxury clothes, but then I remembered later that wheat fields also make shopkeepers with wine, so textile mills are not as good as farms for that purpose. The goal is to make enough high quality jobs to pay out high wages for our workers. I managed to ban industry in October of 1842, and now it's just a waiting game. I'm giving out emergency relief here in California in the hopes that the welfare will help elevate the standard of living just a little bit. I'm also changing my tax law to consumption-based taxes, and then I'm going to remove all my consumption taxes. The idea is to only focus on standard of living and nothing else, which means no taxes and welfare for everyone, as well as getting into debt so we can pay interest to businesses, generating more cash for them. I'm also going to pass poor laws for better welfare, and I'm going to pass property to women so we can have fewer dependents. Dependent income sucks, so it's better just to have more workforce and make farms for them. Now comes the somewhat weird, exploity part of the run. I'm at about 19 standard of living, but reaching that 20 mark is a bit tough. I'm going to artificially increase wages on my buildings by doing a little trick with subsidies. Wages in Victoria 3 are an eldritch concept which very few people understand, but I can assure you that I've spent many moons documenting and understanding exactly how they work. The answer is that they really don't. Wages will not increase with competition consistently. They seem to increase more based on profits and standard of living in the area. You can't spiral up wages by just ensuring everyone is employed and making businesses that want to compete with each other. Instead, you use subsidies strategically to trick businesses into raising wages. This trick involves having a state with too low of a population to fully employ 2 particular businesses, one of which is subsidized and one which isn't. In Victoria 3, when a business is subsidized, it will always pull in workers even if its wages are lower than competing businesses. Currently, I have 2 competing businesses here, wheat farms and livestock ranches. The farms are subsidized, so the ranches get no workers. I'm going to let the ranches fester at 0 workers, which will make them try and raise wages to compete with the farm. The wages will indeed increase, but because subsidized buildings always take workers even at lower wages, they won't be able to get anyone in the ranches. Once the base wage is high enough for my liking, I turn off the subsidies on the farm and turn them on for the ranches. This makes all the farm workers immediately quit their jobs and go to work at the much higher wage livestock ranches. The wages are so high at the ranches that without my subsidies, they'd immediately go out of business, but that's fine. I'm happy to pay the ranches enough money for them to give out high wages to shoot me past 20 standard living. To give you an idea of how strong this is for this particular purpose, the base wage in the wheat farm was 9.96. It's covered up by chat, but you can sort of see it. The base wage in the livestock ranch is 20.44. This is an entirely unsustainable wage, but we don't have to sustain it. We just have to briefly have it until we get the achievement. A couple months after the ranches hired everyone, I hit the Amish Paradise achievement. In March of 1846, Frederick Douglass looked upon his autonomous California Republic in jealousy, as they lived better lives churning butter and sowing crops than his slavery-free, laissez-faire America could ever live. So that's the achievement. The tone of this video might seem a little ironic, or in a worse light, perhaps a bit negative. That's because I don't like this DLC very much. I do like, in concept, agitators and coups and government petitions and so on, but in execution they're just so awful. The new law change mechanics are exactly as I said they would be in my video on Victoria 3's law system. They're just RNG with extra steps. Although this system is a slight improvement, it's not at all good enough to make me change my mind on Victoria 3. I'm making this one video on Vic 3 just because I want to cover it a little bit, but I have been trying to off-stream record some playthroughs of Vic 3, and I get bored within an hour even playing as more challenging nations like the Sikh Empire. There's just not much fun to do. I'll still keep my eye on Victoria 3 since I want this game to be good, but right now, it's not. Either way, that's the Amish Paradise achievement. It's the only achievement that really caught my eye as being interesting to do. Indeed, it was an achievement that took me a couple hours to really find a consistent strategy for, and even then, this strategy relies on changing laws quickly, and it even uses an agitator, which is completely random. Best of luck to you, viewer, if you wish to get this achievement, but it's not like it matters much because you can always just change the achievement text to whatever you want and instantly get the achievement anyway. Thank you for your time.